We have Donny van de Beek set to join Manchester United for 45 million. It's 45 million euros, 40 million quid from Ajax, despite a late attempt apparently from Spurs to hijack the deal. Why are Manchester United buying the 23-year-old Dutch rising star? Does he fix any of Manchester United's current problems?
He's only 23, so we've obviously seen he was part of that brilliant Ajax team that got to the Champions League semi-final a couple of seasons ago, and he gives you a different option. It looks like Solskjaer, the way he's doing things, is going to play that 4-2-3-1, and Matic has played there, Fred has played there. Pogba seems to be, it seems to be Pogba plus one. So if you put Van de Beek in there, does that mean that, you know, he's not seen as a protector as such? But I think for United to evolve, they need players that can hold on to the ball, and Van de Beek is one of those kind of players.
Oh, I like your Dutch pronunciation of it there, correcting us there subtly.
This is a great signing.
Is it?
Manchester United, like Donny van de Beek.
Where does he play?
Well, you can't have too many good players.
No, but where does he play?
So, well, he can play in any number of positions, which is exactly why he's such a good signing. This is what we were talking about with Liverpool earlier. This is what Liverpool should be doing. Firstly, from a purely financial point of view, you're preempting potentially at some stage the departure of Paul Pogba, and you have somebody who can sit into that role. But also, as Phil said, in the system he wants to play with, Van de Beek can play in a number of different spots, and also he can rotate those players. So at the moment, he starts with Martial furthest up top. You got Rashford on the left, Greenwood on the right, Fernandes in the middle. And if any of them are injured, what happens? What happens? Daniel James might come in instead of Greenwood. But they have a big problem. Whereas now, actually, one of them gets injured. Van de Beek can step in instead of Fernandes. He could probably play on the right-hand side if you needed him as well. Or he can play, as he did quite a bit this season with Ajax after the departure of Frankie de Jong and Lasse Schöne, play as one of the two, play as a deeper lying player.
So he's taking Matic or Fred out of the team?
Well, that's going to be the big question for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because that does seem like it would be somewhat kamikaze football of going with a midfield two of Paul Pogba and Donny van de Beek. Like, you've got incredible attacking talent there, the range of passing, and you could overwhelm maybe the vast majority of teams. I'd be shocked if you're going up against Liverpool or Manchester City or big Champions League games if you went with the two of them. As much as Van de Beek can get around the pitch and is a strong tackler and can do that side of it and is a far better ball player than Fred or Matic, I don't think Fred or Matic are the answer either. I think there's probably somebody else they need in that sort of role. It does seem as though it would be a bit crazy, a bit too attacking. But he can play instead of Pogba. You could play Pogba in a more advanced role if you want. I would certainly prefer to see Van de Beek picking the ball up deep inside his own half than Paul Pogba, who has that massive tendency to switch off. So I think he opens up the possibility of all sorts of rotation of 5 or 6 players.
Is there a fear, though, that actually, is he genuinely good enough, or is this another Daily Blind who's going to come in, be able to play loads of situations, and actually you realise 18 months in, oh, that was just a waste of time?
Well, he's going to have to go and prove it, but he's done it consistently in the Champions League for the last couple of seasons. Scored the goal against Spurs, knocked out Juventus. He has delivered the goods in these big games already for Ajax. United are only getting him, I think, because of what happened in the pandemic. He was on the verge of going to Real Madrid before all of this broke down, so an opportunity has presented itself. And I think for 40 million, again, he's just the sort of player, the versatility he offers, the quality he has, and what he... Remember, United, like all these teams, 2 games every single week from pretty much this week till next May, heading into the Euros. He's going to get a lot of game time. Yeah. If he stays fit, he's going to get 40 games easily.
He's essentially Jesse Lingard's replacement in some ways.
You can play for Bruno Fernandes as well. You could replace Bruno Fernandes if they want to take Bruno out of the team for a few games. We saw Bruno Fernandes look knackered at the end of last season, so he can play anywhere in a central position. But said he's only 23, so he's a player that I know when Dennis Bergkamp was in charge of, was looking after the youth players at Ajax, he was a player that he talked up. He said, this guy is unbelievable. Actually, at one stage compared himself to Dennis Bergkamp. Bergkamp compared him, Van de Beek to Bergkamp, but probably plays a little bit deeper than obviously than Bergkamp did.
Does Bergkamp's ego doesn't seem that ridiculous. I mean, he looks like the man who has the biggest ego in the world, but the book didn't suggest that he had the biggest ego in the world. Maybe I was just reading it through Dennis Bergkamp glasses. Is Bergkamp a giant ego? This guy could be as good as me. Is he? Generally?
I don't think so. I think it was more his style of football, maybe.
Well, look, I mean...
Not he's going to be one of the all-time greats.
Because Bergkamp was pretty close to it. One last question for you, Kenny. Man United being heavily linked with Donny van de Beek, 40 million-ish. Have you seen enough of him to have an opinion on whether or not this is a good idea yet?
Yeah, I like him. I'm a big fan of him. Goal scoring, attacking midfield player. Really, I'd see him as a number 8, which kind of suits Man United. They're pretty much shaped up that way, 4-3-3, with those two advanced midfielders. But the problem is, United players in those positions at the moment are really Pogba and Fernandes. I don't see Van Beek operating off the side. He's really a central midfield, attacking midfield player who can score goals. So the only reason when I hear something like that, lads, being leaked, that he's coming for that type of money, then I begin to question maybe Paul Pogba's future at the football club. Maybe if there's a bit of concern that Pogba's not going to be there, he's not going to sign that new contract, because if he doesn't, then they do have to go and spend again on that type of player, whether it's a Van Beek or a Jack Grealish or that type of player. So yeah, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's worth the money. I think he ticks a lot of boxes in terms of his qualities, which I've spoken about briefly, but age profile as well and things like that. So yeah, but I think it's an interesting one, because for me it just pours kind of oil on the fire in terms of Paul Pogba's future if they've been linked to that type of player with the qualities that he has.
Yeah, he's actually cheaper and younger than Jack Grealish, so what's not to like?